Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit asbgold.com. That's asbgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And welcome back, everybody. We have Brett Baier, the host of Special Report, chief political anchor for Fox News, and the author of the best-selling Case for America, an argument on the behalf of our nation. Brett, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course. So here we are, 250-year anniversary of our country. And it seems that, look, I wasn't alive, nor were you, during the 60s when we had such divide in this country as far as the war in Vietnam. But it seems like we're getting to that point where you have to wonder if what the founders and what you wrote about in this book is going to come to fruition in the next 250 years, as far as we hear Democrats talking about blowing up the filibuster, adding 2 states as far as D.C. and Puerto Rico, adding 4 senators as a result, eliminating the Electoral College and so on. But in the end, what was your whole motivation of writing this book? You've written about 6 presidents. I know. I think it was George Washington, Grant, Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan. At this point, we're at 250 years of this country's republic, but it seems the next 250 years could be tumultuous if we're witnessing what we are right now in 2026.
Yeah, I guess the impetus was after writing those 6 books about those 6 presidents, and there were unique times, like a soda straw look at something in those presidencies that maybe was overlooked by history. And I just came to the sense that they were really indicative of, during those presidencies and during those speeches, making the case for the country. And so I thought, using that and then talking to people in present times, people like Condoleezza Rice and Ken Langone and David Rubenstein of different political, ideologies and bents, but asking them to make the case for America and presenting it like a jury, that you're making the case before a jury of your peers. And I think that ahead of America 250, it's really important. We are divided, and you're right. It's nasty at times. And you look at social media, my kids are 18 and 15, and there's all kinds of stuff that's flying at them and at us. I think it's time to, take a breath and go back a little bit and realize how good we have it. And that shared focus, hopefully July is providing that opportunity.
And we're talking to Brett Baier, and I think you make a great point around social media being a very, very big part of this divide that we're having right now. In other words, it used to be in the past, you would have A politician or B politician wants to say something, so therefore they call a press conference, or maybe they put out a statement, and there are other people around those people saying, you know what? I know you want to say this. I know you're emotional right now, but we should keep this within the guardrails of civility. And now with social media, you could write and say whatever you want off the cuff, any time of night or day, without anybody telling you that's right or wrong, or any podcaster actually can do that as well. I wonder if social media is leading to this divide, Brett, where we have a problem where so many people are putting out videos saying what they're feeling at that particular moment, and therefore it gets very personal, and therefore it's impossible for 2 sides to work together.
Yeah, we've got a lot of vitriol out there, and you're right. It does spiral down sometimes, and sometimes the social media plays to our worst angels, not our better angels. And, you can't exclude the President of the United States from this kind of talk either. But I think what I get to in this book is I'm not telling the country what to do. It doesn't look through like rose-colored glasses. It's not sanitized. We have done horrible things in our country. We've made big mistakes that would have just crushed weaker nations. But we, as a country, have always been resilient, and always the pendulum swings. America comes back, figures out what's needed, and gets a leader that can move it forward. I do that segment on my show, Common Ground. It's a podcast for me, too, where I bring Democrats and Republicans together, talking about what they're working on as opposed to what they're arguing about. And, we talk about the news of the day and where there's differences big time, but they eventually get to what they're working on, which is important. And when I first started that 4 years ago, 2022, my staff said, "Boss, we're never going to be able to book this thing. This is going to be impossible." And I said, "Trust me, it's going to work." And I went up to Capitol Hill and I convened all the press secretaries, left and right, Democrats and Republicans, and I gave a speech. And I implored them, this is your opportunity to talk about what you guys are working on across the aisle. And eventually they did. And it started to gain steam. And then I had strange bedfellows that were appearing together, like Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Raskin working on something together. And they fight every day. Elizabeth Warren and Ted Cruz. And it's in the mindset and mold of the old Ted Kennedy, Orrin Hatch relationship, or Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. You can go down the years. My point is that we're bigger than some of this small stuff, and I think like focusing on the big ideals that the founders really founded the country on is a good place to go back to.
Absolutely. We're talking to Brett Baier. The book is called The Case for America. I remember I was young at the time. We're about the same age, Brett, but Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton in 1994. Yeah. Bill Clinton took a beating in that midterms. And Newt Gingrich then said, okay, let's work together. Now, Clinton could have gone two ways with that. He could have either, okay, I'm going to go far to the left. I'm going to oppose you. I'm going to, again, before social media, I think that played a big role in this. But in the end, true. They pass welfare reform. Here you have Bill Clinton saying the era of big government is over. And then they actually had a balanced budget amendment, which again, that is as bipartisan as it gets. And before Clinton left office, I get the whole Monica thing and what people think about that. But in the end, 1998, 1999, 2000, we had a budget surplus, which is unthinkable now. So right. I wonder if we could get back to that place again, because I see Hakeem Jeffries talking about, maximum warfare after Donald Trump was nearly assassinated for a third time. And then obviously, as you say, the president doesn't exactly respond with kindness. I just wonder if we could ever get there again.
I'm hopeful that we can. I mean, I see examples of it every day. I did a debate, last year with Lindsey Graham and Bernie Sanders.
That's right.
You couldn't be more far apart. And yet they talked about, working together on a number of things and talked, civilly. And I think the whole thing is listening to the other side, understanding that you have passion and you're adamant that you're right and they're wrong, but respecting their opinion and then figuring out, Dwight Eisenhower said in his farewell address, he said, we need to work on the things that we agree on first and then argue about the stuff that we don't. And if we just went into every day on Capitol Hill like that, there would be a ton of stuff that would get done a lot faster.
That's true. And before we go, Brett, and again, the book is The Case for America, a New York Times bestseller. It's going to be huge. You co-hosted Charles Krauthammer on your show, and it's funny because I was on. What's that?
He's in the book too. Yeah.
Oh, of course he is. Yes. No. I'm getting through it. Look, I'm not going to be this guy who pretends I read the whole thing. We booked this a couple days ago. I'm on chapter 6. Yeah. Okay, but I am reading it. I swear to God. But Charles, I was on Big Weekend Show this past weekend co-hosting, and at one point, I got to a point where I imitated Brett Baier, where we played a soundbite, and there was no question to ask after the soundbite. I just said, Tommy, or in this case, Tommy Lahren. and I said to her, I said, Brett Baier used to do that. You just say Charles. Like, there's no question. He's going to go with it.
That's all you needed.
That's all you needed, exactly. But Charles Krauthammer, at first, from what I understand, Roger Ailes wasn't exactly on board with bringing him onto your show every day of the week, but you pushed for that.
I did. Yeah. He used to appear occasionally on Britt's panel. And when I took over in January 2009, I said to Roger, my then big boss, I'd love to have him on 5 nights a week. And Roger said, no, maybe just 3. Let the audience keep him, keep wanting him back. I said, promise you, we need him. He's my first baseman. And Roger said, fine. He was on as much as I could have him on, and he cut through the noise of the day. He could speak in verbal op-eds. There was no practice. It was just how he talked. And he was so insightful, and you didn't know exactly where he was going to come down. It wasn't like a super partisan thing. He was just really analytical. And, I finally got him after he wrote a book to do an hour special. And it was just fascinating. It was one of the most watched hours we had ever done at Fox. And it aired every Christmas and Easter, whenever we needed an hour to fill in, because he was a fascinating guy. And I think he talks really eloquently about how great America is. In this book, I quote him in an interview I did with him. And I miss him.
Yeah, we all do. And I met him in the green room, actually, in Washington, and met his King Cavalier, which was a beautiful dog, and just the authenticity of the guy. And he was just so genuine, authentic, and just a nice guy, and a big Nationals fan, by the way. He wouldn't be very happy with what's going on in Washington right now. But in the end, Special Report lives on. And again, Josh Holmes, I think, is a great addition to what you're doing there. I think that in general, all those guys from Ruthless have been incredible. And in general, just everybody you have on there, it's just a nice conversation. It's very civil, and it comes from all sides without all the yelling, without all the partisanship and all the vitriol. And that's a great thing. And that's why Special Report is number 1 in its time slot by a country mile. The book, by the way, by a country mile, is The Case for America, an argument on the behalf of our nation. Brett Baier, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Brett. And this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. 77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.